Good morning, everybody. My name is Manjit from PAN IIT. I welcome you all to its Global Virtual Technology Summit, PIWOT 2021. We have an interesting and thrilling panel discussion coming up on Tamil Nadu, Emerging Tech Capital, New Collaborations. I would like to warmly welcome the moderator of the panel discussion, Rajiv Swarup. Just to brief a bit about him, Rajiv is former president of Shiv Nadar University. He has a rich and diverse experience in academic and corporate worlds spanning 48 years. He was founding president of Shiv Nadar University from October 2013 to September 2019. Before getting into academics, Rajiv had 4 decades of rich and varied corporate experiences in R&D, manufacturing, and software. He specializes in incubating, managing, and transforming large businesses. Rajiv superannuated from HCL America as Chief Customer Officer in July 2013. Prior to HCL, he worked at DCM Data Products and Modi Group in R&D and manufacturing. He served as the CEO of Modi IPC joint venture company. Currently, Rajiv is helping IIT Kanpur on strategy and outreach. He is an advisor and mentor to technology startups. He is also chairman board of governors of REC Bijnor. Rajiv is passionate about empowering the underprivileged through education. Rajiv has a BTech in electrical engineering from IIT Kanpur and an MBA from FMS Delhi. He is a certified Six Sigma Green Belt. Without wasting much time, over to you, Mr. Rajiv Swarup.
Thank you, Manjeet, for a very kind introduction. We would start the session today with a keynote address by Honorable Minister of Information and Technology, Government of Tamil Nadu, Mano Thangaraj. The Minister is unable to come today in person. He has very kindly sent a message to the panel. I would request Manjeet to kindly play the video.
Yes. Sure. Just allow me a second. I'm sorry. Just allow me a second.
Sure.
So here it goes.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the government of Tamil Nadu, I would like to congratulate the organizers of the PAN IIT Global Virtual Technology Summit 2021 for the grand and successful conduct of this program. In the information technology sector, Tamil Nadu has emerged as one of the leading states in certain verticals of the information technology and information technology enabled services sector. Tamil Nadu continues to be a destination of choice for the ITS sector in India. The state has been upgrading its IT infrastructure in a dynamic manner so as to facilitate speedy access to information and deliver various services of the government of Tamil Nadu to the citizens in a faster and efficient manner. Tamil Nadu is rapidly emerging as a power to reckon with the software industry. It is already a leader in the software service and software exports due to its inherent advantages. These include a vibrant academic ecosystem, excellent technical manpower, strategic location, robust connectivity, besides a thriving manufacturing ecosystem. Tamil Nadu is number one in terms of availability of skilled manpower with over 750 technical institutions within the state. Tamil Nadu has disciplined and professional workforce, skilled technicians and talented engineers, good logistics and connectivity, professional finance and banking support, and excellent engineering colleges and polytechnics. The stable and cost-efficient workforce as well as the availability of other resources are some of the factors that make the state as forward destination for industries. Large pool of skilled manpower with lower attrition rates coupled with the cost advantage drive its competitive edge. The process of digitalization of economy and adoption of digital transactions has rapidly increased due to constraints on physical movements on account of COVID-19. These developments present a host of opportunities for the state. Tamil Nadu government intend to transform our state as the innovation hub and knowledge capital of the country through creation of world-class institutions in various fields and by utilizing the human talent available in the state. To achieve this, the state has been effectively leveraging the IT skills of its human resources to match with the growing demand of skilled workforce. Further, to promote IT/ITES industry in the state and to attract more investments, 8 special economic zones were established by ELCOT in Chennai and Tier 2 cities. The above ELCO SEZs has contributed to 23,590 crore of exports in IT and ITES sector and has created an employment of more than 90,000 people. The government has already established a center of excellence focusing on artificial intelligence, blockchain, data analytics and IoT. This is helping the government to adopt the technologies in various verticals such as healthcare, agriculture and education. eParway, an AI-based cataract detection tool on mobile, has recently won the award from NASSCOM for its scalability. Nambikai Inayam, a blockchain-based platform, is being developed for the state to provide an immutable and verifiable information platform for critical government applications. As Tamil Nadu economy matures further, the services sector will also grow rapidly, driven by proliferation of new products and services. This will primarily be enabled by information technology. Simultaneously, entrepreneurial ecosystem in Tamil Nadu is also growing rapidly across sectors such as healthcare, tourism, education, engineering, communications, transportation, banking and fintech through innovations, again enabled information technology. The state is taking efforts to kickstart the entrepreneurial activity focusing on emerging technologies. This will promote a socially inclusive and broad-based growth and help us achieve leadership position in the ICT industry in the country. Tamil Nadu is a rich source of talented human capital. Global capability centers that thrive on human capital also present a great opportunity for Tamil Nadu to improve its strategic capability and move up the value chain. Our state is well poised to capture these opportunities and IT department shall take all the efforts to attract these companies to Tamil Nadu. The state is improving the digital infrastructure through promotion of data centers and digital connectivity to the last mile. Chennai is emerging as a data center hub. Thanks to its locational advantage, excellent connectivity, stable and surplus manpower. The prestigious BharatNet project will connect 12,525 village panchayats of the state with a minimum of 1 GPS high-speed bandwidth using optical fiber cable and provide triple play service to rural areas at affordable cost. Tamil Nadu has been a trendsetter in good governance. Information technology is enabling government to listen to its citizens and respond to their needs. Integrated and inclusive public grievance CM helpline management system enables citizens to register their petitions through multiple channels. It has also helped in resolving the grievances received under the Ungal Togudiyil Mudhalamaichar scheme. Tamil Nadu aims to transform governance to provide paperless, contactless and transparent services to its citizens. The eventual aim is to bring a paradigm change from focus on achieving outputs to outcomes and move from reactive to proactive governance. Technology is merely a means to an end. Tamil Nadu will deploy information technology to make the lives of citizens better by providing swift, monitorable, accessible, responsive and transparent smart governance. The growth in IT investments will propel economic growth and prosperity. I am confident that these steps will definitely benefit Tamil Nadu to become an international IT hub in the country. In conclusion, I would like to state that the mission statement of the Department of Information Technology, Government of Tamil Nadu says elevating Tamil Nadu as a destination of choice for IT investors across the world and being preferred choice for procurement of IT products and services. Let us collectively strive hard to achieve it. In this journey to achieve this mission, I look forward to the partnership of Pan IIT Alumni India. It's our endeavor to work with the industry in addressing and resolving all the issues impacting the economic and industrial growth of the state. With these few words, I wish the deliberation of PIWOT 2021 a big success. Thank you. Nandri, Vanakkam.
Thank you. Over to you, Rajiv Swarup. Sir, you are on mute.
Apologies. Honorable Minister has set the context for today's panel discussion very well. He's defined the vision, mission of the ministry, and it's for everybody else to execute that. If I step back a bit, democracy is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. The end goal of any governmental action is to benefit its people directly or indirectly, fairly and in a timely manner. I propose we navigate today's discussion in the overall framework of vision, policies, execution. The Honorable Minister very well gave the vision, mission of the government, and it is now for the policies and the execution piece. It is the execution where most of the initiatives fail, and that will be our focus today. The August panel will deliberate on how technology can help ensure that the benefits reach the poorest of the poor in remotest location of the state. Can the state of Tamil Nadu become the role model for technology-led end-to-end delivery systems with 100% coverage and for this reach? Pretty much in line with the vision mission the Honorable Minister gave this morning. What are the roles of different agencies to create a successful technology-enabled vision to delivery ecosystem? How can the government, educational institutes, and corporates collaborate together to create the ultimate benefit delivery system? These are some of the things the panel will deliberate today. It's my proud privilege to introduce the distinguished panel speakers in this panel. Dr. Neeraj Mittal is Principal Secretary IT in the Government of Tamil Nadu. He is an officer of the 1992 batch IAS. Neeraj is an electrical engineer from IIT Kanpur. He did his MBA from Cranfield University in UK and PhD in economics and MIS from Fisher College of Business, Ohio State University, USA. He has several publications to his credit. He has extensive experience in policy formulation and execution in e-governance, transport, industrial promotion, petroleum and natural gas, commerce and industry, telecommunication, and IT. In his last assignment, he worked for the World Bank at Washington, DC. Tamil Nadu saw a spate of investment during his last tenure as Managing Director and CEO of Guidance, which is the state's investment promotion agency. His recent engagements include Project Arrow in Department of Post, eBiz project in Department of Commerce, world's largest cash transfer program in LPG in India, Give It Up in Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, which leverage technology to simplify processes, improve efficiency, convenience, participation, and transparency in governance. Welcome to the panel, Neeraj. Our next speaker on the panel is Professor Bhaskar Ramamurthi, Director of IIT Madras. Bhaskar did his BTech in Electrical Engineering from IIT Madras and his MS and PhD from University of California at Santa Barbara, USA. He is an IEEE Fellow and a Fellow of Indian National Academy of Engineers. He was awarded Doyen of Madras Award by Tamil Nadu government in 2014. Bhaskar worked at AT&T Bell Labs for 2 years before joining the faculty of Department of Electrical Engineering at IIT Madras in 1986. Bhaskar is an avid researcher holding more than 60 patents and over 70 publications to his name. He is the principal architect of Kotak Wireless Local Loop System and Broadband Kodak Wireless DSL System, widely deployed in India and 15 countries around the world. He served as the Dean of Planning at IIT Madras before taking over as the role of Director in September 2011. Welcome to the panel, Bhaskar. Mr. KVS Manian is whole-time director and member of Group Management Council at Kotak Mahindra Bank. Manian is an electrical engineer from IIT BHU, postgraduate in financial management and Jamnalal Bajaj Institute of Management Studies, and a cost and works accountant. With about 2.5 decades of association with the Kotak Group, Manian has been instrumental in setting up and metamorphosing many business divisions into success stories. As president for consumer banking, he steered the bank from a single branch to over 600 branches and more than 1,000 ATMs across the country in a span of 10 years. He played a crucial role in Kotak's journey from NBFC to a bank. He led the project team to implement the project to go live within a year of the license. Philanthropic at heart, Manian has been acknowledged as the highest individual pledge raiser in the corporate challenge category by United Way of Mumbai at the Mumbai Marathon for 2 years in a row, 2014 and 2015. Welcome to the panel, Manian. And I invite all the panelists to this panel discussion this morning. Let me begin with Dr. Neeraj Mittal. Neeraj, as Principal IT Secretary in the Government of Tamil Nadu, in your view, how can the government facilitate use of technology to directly benefit the poor? How can technology help in improving quality of governance, which the minister talked about? What kind of enabling infrastructure is Tamil Nadu government planning to create? What difference did schemes like PMJDY, LPG benefit transfer, give it up schemes, etc., made to people at the grassroots level? Over to you, Neeraj.
Thank you, Rajiv ji. Thank you so much for having us over today in this wonderful discussion. Lots of big questions. I'll try to answer them in a short 3-4 minutes, which I have with me. I think technology really plays a very, very central role in democratizing, rights, getting people to be able to use what is available to them, irrespective of which social strata or economic ladder they belong. These days you can see maids and workers and rickshaw pullers, everybody using WhatsApp, making payments digitally, and that's actually the proof of how technology has democratized and empowered the lowest in our rung of society. Access to content, the YouTube, all the other host of educational material is now available to the poorest children, even if they don't have access to schools. So I think a big part of the problem has been solved by technology in terms of simplifying access, connecting people to each other who have common problems to deal with. Women, you see a different life for women who now are able to possibly spend some time for their own recreation, watching movies whenever they have a bit of time, maids I see who come to the place. So I think technology really is the key to solving many of our problems. And I think quality of governance, definitely a key. Establishing feedback loops. So, we started something called a BizBuddy project here. So even though, in most states, the forward services are all physical, not yet computerized, the feedback loops, because of availability of mobile with every consumer, can be digitized. And, that can actually help, improvement of the service. Participation in a democracy, we all see the social media has made it so easy for citizens to, raise their complaints, even to get visas. It has happened in the past. You can see technology helping citizens in terms of tracking their requests. Government of Tamil Nadu has put in almost now close to about 300 to 400 services on the e-payment, e-portals, where they can actually get services from their homes. Open data is a big area where we have to make a lot of progress so that a lot of value-added services can be provided using the data. And as Minister said, smart governance is a key part of our vision. We are trying to do some projects cross-cutting across departments, like single-family databases, a blockchain-based network, and the projects such as you mentioned, the direct benefit transfer and the PMJDY, I think they've really empowered our citizens. They've created fiscal space. I remember in LPG, I think in those days when the petrol rates were really high, we were saving roughly 20% of the subsidy. Out of the $8 billion, we possibly saved for several years about $2 billion, created fiscal space for social programs, created a financial pipe, and created a financial inclusive system for people to be able to operate. So I think technology is key to improving transparency and fast response from the government to the citizens.
Thank you, Neeraj. And if I recall, somewhere a reading that one of the initiative of Ministry of Petroleum found the way into the Limca Book of Records. Is that true? Which one was that?
Sorry?
One of the initiatives of the Ministry of Petroleum, I don't know whether it was direct benefit transfer or the LPG subsidy, found its way into the Limca Book of Records.
Yeah, no, Guinness Book of Records. That is the LPG cash transfer program, that is the cash transfer program called PEHL. It was the largest cash transfer program. I mean, just because of our population size. So nothing great about getting there, because anything India does at that scale will get into Guinness Book of Records. But nonetheless, it also exemplifies the scale at which technology was able to roll it out.
Yes, and ultimately, population may be there, but technology has to support it. So to that extent, it does deserve a merit there. And talking about technology is the right time to introduce the next speaker, Professor Bhaskar Ramamurthi. Bhaskar, as director of IIT Madras, you are leading one of the premier technology institutes in the country. In your view, what are the role of an educational institution in skill development, extending the reach through online education, in developing technology which can directly benefit the farmers and the poor? And finally, how can technology bring government closer to people, making the case for ease of doing business with the government? And there's something which the minister also talked about, making it simple for people to deal with the government. I request you to share your thoughts, please.
Thank you, Rajiv. Thank you for having me on this panel. Yeah, very quickly. So, the way the average citizen is going to negotiate with the world around him or her has changed and is changing dramatically. I think this business of making the citizen aware of what can be done, what they can expect, and so on, has to start from school. I don't think I have much to say, much expertise or knowledge to talk about how we should do it at the school level. But at the higher education level, I think skill development and reskilling of people, both users of these new ways of, I would say, negotiating with the world, which includes negotiating, transacting with the government, and also using all these new technologies and new skills for making a living. I think for all of these, I think higher education institutions have a big role to play. The same technology which we want to spread awareness of among the ability to work with it among our people can be used by us for scaling rapidly. So, and we have been doing that at IIT. I think we have to learn a lot about how to get it right. It's not just that you can press the buttons and everything will work. Teaching, learning is a complex business involving human beings, and it's not easy to figure out what works and what doesn't. But I think we have been doing it. I think both in skill development, IIT Madras particularly has been working with NASSCOM. We run a skills academy. We run many programs for upskilling. We also are trying to learn how to do really high quality undergraduate degree programs in data science, programming, and so on at scale online. So I think I'll leave it at that, saying that at the higher education, I think there is a tremendous potential for. We have also actually built, tools, simulator tools by which you can learn 80% of skills like welding without actually using a single welding rod. And finally, the last 20% you do hands-on. You can do that for painting, you can do that for welding. So, using and without even going into fancy things like haptics and all that. So there's a lot we can do. The second thing is, I think we have been involved in some projects with governments on trying to build these tools that reduce the friction or increase the ease of doing business for citizens with government. And there it's just a question of, we all know, I mean, I think these things like all these portals and, even blockchain, where you are interested, where you're concerned about privacy and so on, and integrity. All these can be brought to bear. And the minister also spoke about it. And Tamil Nadu has been at the forefront. They've been doing many things, from land registration to so many services. But the issue here is very often we have to deal with the human angle. We have to figure out, sometimes the best technology has, trips up on something because the people who are using it don't want to interact with it in a particular way. So that people connect their ability to roll it out, to observe what happens, to modify our design. That kind of an approach has to be taken. We can't just design it sitting somewhere on the 35th floor and then roll it out. That's not going to work. The last thing I would like to say is that I think the scope, what's possible with all these new technologies is just, we're just beginning to see the tip of the iceberg. I think huge potential is there. I recently saw, for example, very, very interesting, application. A lot of times, today, it's not just farmers, but even if you're building a small home in a city, in a suburb, you're worried about what's going to happen when it rains hard. Are you going to get flooded? The hydrology of the micro hydrology of a location is not very well known. And this is very difficult to figure out, actually. And the other thing is, it also keeps changing nowadays with earth moving equipment being used, very dramatically. You can change the local topology very quickly. And today, on the other hand, with the drone, it costs a little bit, somewhat pricey today because of the uses. The usage is not that much, but if you look at the technology involved, it will become like smartphones. It will become very cheap. With drone surveys, you can actually map out the terrain of a place to within centimeters accuracy in a jiffy. In a matter of hours, the whole area can be covered. These maps can be overlaid on your Google Maps, and you can, with your phone, you can go out and you can actually map channels. Farmers can see which way the water flows in their surroundings. Somebody who's buying a plot can see what's going to happen in the next heavy rain. It's amazing what these tools can do. So I think it's exciting times. The more we learn to apply these tools to make life, easier for the citizen, make things more transparent to them, I think the better it's going to be. So it's very exciting days. Of course, every time you do one of these things, you are fighting against some vested interest whose, information is money. So whose hold on that particular aspect of life is going to change. So sometimes you have to do this with stealth, but I think it's exciting times. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhaskar. Manian, you have been a banker all your professional career, and you have successfully executed several strategic initiatives at Kotak Mahindra, and philanthropy is your passion. So you are a champion of a successful execution, whatever it be. So in your opinion, what are the opportunities for corporate, government, and technical colleges like IITs and other technical colleges to collaborate? And what, in your opinion, are the key success factors for an efficient and sustainable execution model? Manian, over to you.
Thanks, Rajiv. Yeah, you are right. I am a great fan of execution, actually, because several people can write vision statements, but the rubber hits the road when the execution happens, right? And I think finally execution is what matters in all these. But before I joined this panel, I quickly read up the Tamil Nadu's industrial policy, which was just rewritten in 2021, and it's a fantastic document. Neeraj and his team must be complimented for that. It's a visionary document. First of all, it I think touches all the right issues that are involved, so the vision is there in place. But I would like to touch upon three critical tracks which will influence the execution part of it. One, I think, while there is so much focus on skill, and that is absolutely correct, because if you want to build an ecosystem which is a good ecosystem. Skill is a very important part of it. But having said that, as you know, Tamil Nadu has been one of the largest industrialized states, and it has had a certain kind of skill in manufacturing and those kind of areas in the past. But I think the state is pivoting to a different kind of skill requirement going forward, right? The skills required in the emerging economy are very different, or at least slightly, if not very different, from what the skills required in the past were. And I think it is very important to make sure that that pivoting of this requirement happens properly and execution happens properly on that. And that's where collaborations with institutions like Professor Bhaskar, IIT Madras, and many other, and there are many in Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu is one of the most, has one of the best education ecosystems, right? So how to leverage this and make sure that this pivot happens is critical part of execution. The second, in fact, I was looking up various data on the state. There are two things. On many aspects, Tamil Nadu ranks right up there, right? Its per capita GDP is probably 1.5 times the country. Its growth rates are higher. GDP growth rates are higher than the country. Any parameter you choose, they are great to look at. There are two parameters which struck me. Its share in FDI is about 9%, whereas there are states which are 20 plus percentage points of the FDI flows into India. And the second is the share of PPP projects somehow seems lower than what I thought Tamil Nadu kind of state should have had. So these two lead me to the second track of execution, where, I think partnerships with corporates and is critical to make happen. Currently, everybody knows the AstraZeneca vaccine is a great example of partnership, right? It is a partnership of a university, the state government funding, corporate, AstraZeneca, manufacturing somewhere else in all over the world. So it is a great example of partnership, right? And I think many more like this can be put in place in all areas of business. The minister himself talked about centers of excellence. Many of these centers of excellence can be co-promoted by private corporates. In fact, not in Chennai, in another state, we are just setting up an AI/ML center of excellence along with a very, very reputable institution, actually the Indian Institute of Science. There is no reason why we can't do it with some institution like IIT Madras in Chennai. So I think it's again an area where a lot of partnership can make sure that these centers of excellence are created. Once these centers of excellence are created, skill development around them becomes significantly possible. And the third, I think, again, very, very important track for execution is making cities more livable. Because talent needs an environment where it likes to live well, right? I mean, if you make cities livable, I think talent will flow into those cities. So whether it is infrastructure, transport, women's safety, automation, the minister and Neeraj talked about, automating and making all government interactions, digitizing, reducing costs of living and all of that. I think the entire livability of the cities of the state make a huge difference to how talent can be nurtured. So I would say these are three tracks of execution where I think, and again, smart cities, again, can be collaborative. You can involve private sector. There are a lot of things that can be done. So on all these three tracks, I think banks, private sector, all of these can be involved. And these three tracks of execution can dramatically contribute to making this vision come true.
Thank you, Manian. I'm going to pose a couple of questions to the entire panel, and you can decide who wants to pick that up. The first question comes around is on the ease of doing business with the government. The minister talked about it, and he said he will make it easy for people to interact with the government. Now, I want to say something which I'm sure all of you would have observed on the Doordarshan channel. And I don't know whether that's ease of doing business, but it comes from there. they advertise a whole lot of numbers which people can call, right? If you want police, call this number. For ambulance, call this number. If a woman wants an ambulance, calls another number. If a woman needs help, call yet another number. And if you want a senior citizen, call some other number. COVID, some other number there, maybe 6 or 8 numbers, which I do not know if the government is expecting every citizen to remember that. And I'm sure from state to state, those numbers will change. I mean, the UP government has another set of numbers which one has to remember. Now, does this make business easy with the government? And I mean, I can think of use cases. For example, if a 65-year-old woman has her house on fire by rioters, who should she call? A police, ambulance, senior citizen number? Which number should he call? So is there something which can be done to improve this? Something like 9/11 in the US, no matter what emergency, call one number. So what is your thought, Neeraj, in terms of the government thinking about it, one number for everything? And Bhaskar, to you, does the technology permit that?
So should I go first?
Yes, Neeraj, go ahead.
Okay. Thanks, Rajiv. So you see, the honorable minister mentioned about the integrated helpline in Tamil Nadu. So we also have multiple over the period of years. We have one CM, grievance system. We have another, grievance system which is happening at the collector level. There are individual departments we are running. So what we actually did in the recent times is to create a 200-seater call center here in Chennai, where we are integrating all these into one place. We have a full, back-end system up and running, where we are able to actually put these, these requests, petitions. So I'm not coming to the kind of, the murder or, fire, those kind of things, but I'm talking of the day-to-day citizens, interface with the government. So the entire bureaucracy is mapped right to the village level. And this call center talks to that person, assigns that petition to that person, it goes to him, and then it automatically escalates. And it's an equivalent of that I have done in the G2B space, which is the BizBuddy, which is perhaps the only other, the only one in the entire country, where businesses can actually put their grievance, and then we sort them out in a 4-week time. We saw almost 78% reduction in the pendency of time when we introduced that system. As I said, the forward path in most departments is still physical. They're all files. They are, moving in silos. They don't know what is happening. But at the end of the day, the end user doesn't get his work done. What does he do? He has a mobile phone. If you create a technology where he can actually just register his complaint saying that I submitted this, 10 days ago, and that can be electronically tracked. It's equivalent of the Shikayat Petika in, every office, right? Where if you put something, it's a black hole. So we're trying to convert that from a black hole into a white hole where you can actually track everything electronically. So definitely it is possible, to answer the second question. And I'm not sure whether one uniform number for the entire country is feasible because of the way the federal structure works. But definitely, I think at a state level, it is definitely feasible. Over to you.
Bhaskar, what would be your view? I mean, if in the US, 911 can work across the country, why can't technology support this? One number, but based on where you are, the call should go to the relevant department.
I think it's muted.
Must be on the mute, I guess.
911 was developed when there were only telephones. I think today technology has made this question relevant. You can develop an app and everything, you can just type on what you want. You don't need to remember numbers. And it could even be changing from district to district. Nobody will care. Okay. I think those problems are easy to solve. I don't think that's a big issue. And, a lot is already happening. I have some traction because of some personal interest with some, life in rural areas. And I see that, nowadays, for most citizen-related things, it's very difficult for the service provider and government to say that they didn't get the letter or didn't get the petition or didn't get the complaint. It's all on record. It's all on electronic record, and they can't say that. And in fact, a lot of the response of the local police and local, village VAO and all that is related to the fact that they are answerable. That's on record. So action is not delayed. Of course, you still have a lot of friction due to on getting the right action, but they cannot delay the action. and they cannot say we didn't see it, we didn't get it, it is not available, blah, blah. All those are not possible. Okay, so there is this business of making things into white holes, what he mentioned, tracking is working already to a great degree. And people have become very savvy, even with sort of informal tools like WhatsApp. They apply pressure on the service providers to ensure that action is taken for a complaint. No, you can't deny that. It's not easy to deny that it wasn't sent, or that it has been followed up to a point and then it's been sort of dropped. So those are happening already, and I think it is improving. And people are, of course, there's a lot more to be done. People are expecting more and more, but I think already on many things. What are the main friction points for an average citizen? It is sometimes with law enforcement, and things like that. But very often it is with paying of taxes, getting of certificates, getting of community certificates, getting school certificates, getting admission in school, TCs. All these things are now getting digitized and becoming more and more difficult for the citizen to be sent on a runaround. That's already happening quite a bit. So I think we're on the right track. People understand now that you can use this technology to solve this problem. In fact, when you don't do it, they ask, why can't you put this all on some, phone or something? They'll use some different language, but what they mean is, why should it be done the old way? So this is already happening.
Interesting thought, Bhaskar. I mean, what I'm hearing is that the phone is an old system and killer apps will be the new way of communication to the government or with each other. And
recording in progress.
The answer used to be generally no, it would not be there by 7th, which is the statutory requirement. They'll be paid much later, sometime middle of the month, sometime end of the month. And the other question was, do you get full salary? And invariably, all of them will get half or 2/3 of their salary. Though they will sign for 100, they will get 50 or 60 rupees. And I said that is not on, because on the face of it, all the contractors are audited, paperwork is checked, and they all pass through the audit. But this is the ground reality. So I made some changes, and I said, look, now everybody will have a bank account. And we had a bank in the campus of Shiv Nadu University. We got everybody to open bank account. And we made it mandatory for contractor to transfer the money to the bank account of all the people deployed there. And it has to be by 7th of the month. And I said, you have to give us a proof of money being transferred, and we'll pay you based on that evidence, not on anything else. However, and for some time it was good. So when I checked on the 7th or 8th with the people, they said, yes, I got the salary. And you got full salary? Yeah, we got full salary. So that was one achievement I was happy about. But then I asked, you have a bank account, do you have a card, the small ATM card? She said, yes, I have. So I said, can you bring it next time, show it to me, and I want to see whether you can operate or not. So she said, but the card is not with me. I said, where is the card? So he said, oh, that is with my son. He is the one who operates. So I said, okay, so where did I go wrong? I mean, the whole issue was to empower this woman who is working, who is getting the money, and she should be having the money with her. But now control has been taken over by somebody else. Fortunately, in her case, it was her son, but in many cases, it is the contractor who keeps the card. Right? So, in your view, if this has to be successfully executed, how would you check back that things are happening? Would it be sampling, or would it be what? So, give us some thoughts on that.
So, interesting problem to solve. But like you said, the first leg you solved, which is the concept of DBT, right? Send money directly to the person rather than through an intermediary. So that, of course, was the first step. The second issue that you are talking about has two aspects to it. One is the social issue about, empowering the woman point, being assertive about her rights, about her debit card with her, and stuff like that. So there is a social aspect to this, which, of course, again, as a society, we have to work on. But very quickly talking about a solution to this, maybe the solution lies in biometric or retina recognition for operating accounts over a period of time. I think some of these were, so it makes sure that only that person is operating and nobody else is operating the account. Yes, I can see a solution around that, but that is my quick reaction to your problem. It may not be the right solution, but at least that seems like the quick reaction to that.
Thank you.
But yes, I think some of these are interdependent. You solve some of these social issues through technology, right? And it's an important interplay. And these are interesting problems to solve. So many of these technology, like the Honorable Minister said, and Professor said, and even Neeraj mentioned that some of these are empowering people in different ways. Technology to empower people and democratize access to information, access to services is, of course, the key thing to do. And I'm sure we are getting better at it. It is improving, definitely, and there is miles to go.
You brought a good point, Manian, and that was about the social aspect of adopting technology. And Bhaskar did made a reference to that one as to making people aware of what technology can do for them. And Neeraj, you being in the government, by just rolling out technology and killer apps and the plans, how would you take this up of making the population at large aware of this is available, this is what it can do for you, and this is how it will change your life? Neeraj, you're on the mute, so
yeah. Thanks, Rajiv. No, so this is definitely a big challenge, and I think anything which government does must have a value proposition. Just having an app for something which you think is fancy will not fly. The citizen must get some value out of it, and even if it has a value, there is a need for actually reaching out to the users, creating awareness, and making sure that the network effect kicks in, right? You have at least 10 people talking by word of mouth to 10 others, and then those 10 talking to 10 others, so that you have a geometric progression of users who vouch for the use, and the use of that platform increases in that proportion. So I think the key in this is, again, human design interfaces, local language, thinking about whether your application will be just on smartphones or it will work on feature phones, whether it will impose a cost on the user in terms of SMS charges, or government will bear that, whether if somebody doesn't have these access to phones and smartphones, what will he do? So do you have, say, something called an e-Seva center, or Government of India has come out with this citizens service centers where people can go. So I think more than technology, these are all human-centric issues which decide at the end whether what you're planning to do takes off or not. And if you have taken care of these, it will automatically take off.
So, Neeraj, the minister mentioned about setting up data centers in state of Tamil Nadu, and Tamil Nadu becoming a hub for data centers. And of course, the network across the state and so on. So the enabling infrastructure, because if you use technology, and if you say mobile phone is today's killer app, and WhatsApp is a killer app today, it won't work if you don't have a huge amount of network rollout, and use of AI, data sciences will require data centers to be there. So would you like to quickly elaborate as to what are the government plans on this?
Yeah, so one of the major projects which government of Tamil Nadu is rolling out is the BharatNet project, which Minister mentioned about providing 1 gigabits per second connectivity to each village. And from there, we will have access to the triple play, education, entertainment, and of course, internet connectivity to all the, units of a village. It may be the Gram Panchayat, it may be the villages, it may be the schools, it may be the primary health center, it may be the agriculture extension officer. And on the top of this connectivity, we will have to roll out a bouquet of services. Say, for example, we mentioned about the AI-based pest detection tool which Tamil Nadu E-Governance Agency has developed based on data analytics and AI and machine learning. But what I'm trying to say is that the underlying network has to be really, really robust. This will also be in part determined by not only internet connectivity, but also the mobile connectivity. So, and there, I think Professor Ramamurthi will be having a little bit of a more insight on 5G platforms, which I think IIT Madras is deeply right now engaged in a very exploratory project. And that's something which, going to again change the world of what can be delivered over these IT-driven infrastructure. And the data centers, as they come along, of course, they will also, morph into something which is the edge computing, as technologies such as autonomous driving require low latency, the data centers and all associated paraphernalia will, grow. So I see this all growing together in a holistic manner. Government will have to play its role to help and make sure that we don't stand in its way. As long as we do that, it will happen, pretty in a frictionless manner. And we have to give some encouragement wherever there is friction.
Yeah, so with this enabling infrastructure and 5G specifically, what is being talked about is driverless autonomous vehicles on the streets of Chennai. I find it hard to imagine how would driverless car move on the streets of Chennai with so much chaos. In fact, it could be Bangalore or Delhi. It doesn't matter which city you take up. However, this drones, which Bhaskar mentioned about, they're not affected by the chaos on the streets. And Bhaskar, what's your vision of the future? Are drones going to be the mobile phones of tomorrow? Today, the mobile phone and applications on smartphones have changed the way people live and people work. Do you see drones making that kind of a phenomenal change in the lives of people in terms of they are the eye in the sky and they could really make a big difference? What's your view on drones in the future?
Certain, applications and certain pain points which drones will address very well. I gave you one example, particularly in rural areas. I think I gave you one example, and those will happen. But I don't think the scale of impact will be the same as that of the phone. See, what is happening is we've been talking about coverage in rural areas. It's not that it's waiting for 5G. 5G will certainly matter, but even 4G would have been good enough. What's really happening is it's plain economics, purchasing power issues. It's interesting that in India we have gone up. Since we manufacture and sell 15 crore smartphones a year to 20 something crore, 21, 22 crore families. So you can make your own calculations. What's happening? It's also interesting that the average price of the smartphone that's being sold, average price, has gone up to 15,000 from 8,000 in 2 years, 2.5 years. This data is very good data because, in phones, there is a unique ID for every phone, not your phone number. There's an equipment ID. And since every phone has an equipment ID, there's very good data available on what is being sold, including brand wise and so on. So anyway, why I'm pointing this out is people are, of course, probably in that average of 15,000, the rural areas are spending only 8,000 or so per phone. Once in 3 or 4 years, once in 3 years. And so they're still balking at spending 150, 200 rupees a month on the phone bill. Because it's not insignificant compared to the price of the phone over 2-3 year period. But the equations are going to change, right? I mean, the incomes are rising and this is just pure GDP driven. and the phones will become cheaper. And so I think, once affordability is there, the telecom operators will put in more towers, and coverage will become 100%. Today, it's not 100% because in some areas they don't see the revenue. Government can speed it up by subsidizing, but they've been struggling to find the subsidy model that will work. Because it's very difficult to target it, as Neeraj can affirm, targeted subsidies in any discipline, in any area, are the hardest to implement. So they are finding it difficult. They are struggling with one scheme after another. But hopefully the newest one, which they've put out a tender, hopefully it will work. So, but anyway, it will solve itself. It will solve itself in a matter of 3-4 years. Once our incomes rise another 40-50%, it will solve itself. So I think the phone is going to be very important for all of this in the rural areas.
Thank you, Bhaskar. Would any panelist like to make a concluding remark in maybe 30 seconds? Neeraj, Manian, Bhaskar, anyone?
So if I come in, the fact that the state government has partnered this Pan IIT event itself is indicative of the proactivity of the state, and both political and administrative leadership of the state is obviously fully engaged with the evolving world, right? So I think it's this partnering with this ecosystem, I think, is the way to go. And like I said, partnering with the entire ecosystem, whether it is all stakeholders, whether it is the citizen, foreign institutions, Indian institutions, corporates, all of that, I think partnership is the way ahead. And I think Tamil Nadu is in a great position. It is already in a great position. And I think if they continue the focus on implementation, I think they can really build an ecosystem to be proud of.
Thank you, Manian. Bhaskar, you have anything?
No, I don't have anything to add. I just said something. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhaskar. Neeraj,
great. Thank you so much, Rajiv. Let me thank all the panelists on behalf of Government of Tamil Nadu. IIT Madras has been a great partner for us at all times. Even at midnight, if we call Professor Bhaskar or somebody, we will have help ready to help us in any way as possible. And I invite the Pan IIT network to be engaged with Government of Tamil Nadu. We in the Information Technology Department are really looking forward to make Tamil Nadu a high-tech capital in the next 5 to 10 years. That's the vision of the Honorable Chief Minister as well, and that's why he made it a point to attend the conference and asked us to take this message to the world. So through this platform, I request all the people who have attended today to partner with Government of Tamil Nadu. I am always available at any point of time, and I'll share my contacts if they may be widely circulated for any association with Government of Tamil Nadu. We'll be very, very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Neeraj. And I think that today's discussion has been really thought-provoking, and state government is ready to take off. I would like to finally thank Pan IIT organizing team for such a wonderful event, and I would like to thank the Honorable Ministers for his vision, which he sent through his recorded message. I'd like to thank my fellow speakers for their insights and innovative suggestions on use of technology to create a stupendous execution system. I think the key is execution, and we spent good time on how to make that happen. Last but not the least, I would like to thank the audience for their participation in today's event.